till the tears run down from my eyes. Lord, somebody, ooh, somebody, can anybody find me somebody to love?
Alexa, play hits from Queen.
Okay.
Somebody to love. Somebody.
With Amazon Music, a voice is all you need. Get tens of millions of songs. Download the Amazon Music app today.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everybody. Good day to you. Welcome to a new episode of Conscious Cool Chic Radio with Molly McCord, where every week we talk about astrology and the energies of right now. We look at what is happening above us as well as within us and how we can make the most powerful conscious choices possible. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate your time, your presence, and your energy. It's an amazing community of people who listen to this show, and I'm grateful for your comments, your subscribes, your likes, and everything that you are contributing to humanity right now. And I know that a lot of this work, it can feel like it's just you, or that you don't always see things shifting or changing in the world, but this is a marathon. This is a long-term endeavor, and we all get stronger individually, and then we get stronger collectively. And so that is absolutely what's happening here, and I hope that this show is just one of the many places that you feel inspiration about yourself and a connection to who you really are. We are all spiritual beings having this crazy, wild human experience, and it's full of so many things. And astrology is a great way to understand these energies. So perhaps you're familiar with astrology, and perhaps you're not, but it is my intention to give you insights into what the energies mean if you do not speak the astrological language, and also to give you more specifics if you do speak astrology, because it is a language, as you've probably come to understand. So in today's show, we're going to dive into what is going on right now as we finish up the month of September. We're going to end with a Pluto stationing direct energy on September 30th. This happens at 18 degrees. We have Venus stationing retrograde on October 5th. Chiron has just moved back into Pisces. Chiron is now at 29 degrees of Pisces. So I'm going to cover all three of these energies in today's show, plus talk about the Sun in Libra and what that means. Now, before I dive into the astrology, I have a free book for you, and this is a book that I'm so excited to share with you right now because it really supports healing deeper energies. This book is called Conscious Thoughts, Powerful Affirmations to Connect with Your Soul's Language. You can find the links below this show. And this is a book I wrote. I actually channeled it back in 2012, and then I published it in 2013. It was the third book I published. And I felt that this book was important to get out there and share with you because it's not just another book on affirmations. This is a book that goes deeper into where you first experienced something that was harmful to your energy. And so it is about past lives and where that energy originated on your soul's journey. And in this book, I talk about, what affirmations are and what they are not, and understanding how you can really use them in a way that is really, it's like you can't just say the fluffy words and make everything better. There's things going on at a deeper level in your beliefs that are ready to shift and change, and then the affirmations support that shift and change. But first, you have to get down to the root of the energy and of the experience. So in this book, there are 5 different stories that talk about different themes and how to heal those. So one story is dealing with shadow feminine energies. Second story, reclaiming your personal power. Third, adult bullying. Fourth story, your body as your ally. And the final story is roadblocks to creative expression and a loving partnership. Each of these chapters these are pretty short stories, and I wrote them with the intention that something in them would connect with you. And maybe it's just part of a story or one of the stories out of the 5 or all 5. But the intention is that you feel a connection, and that stirs up what you're ready to heal. So this book, it's not a long book, but it's made to sit with, where you're meant to really get into more of your own energy experiences, your soul experiences, and to see what resonates within you and how to shift it. So this book is available on Kindle on Amazon September 26th until September 30th, 2018. And you will, again, find the link below this show. And I don't have any control over how Amazon works these free book promotions, meaning it's only available those 5 days, and the time of it is based on Pacific Standard Time because Amazon's based in Seattle. So those are some of the parameters that we all have to follow, but I hope that you're able to download it and enjoy it, and that something in those stories resonates with you and helps you move through something, because we have more support than ever for doing that. So there it is, again, conscious thoughts. The other little tidbit is that I am so grateful for each of you that I connect with in a session, and thank you so much, because I know that everyone is so powerful. And one of the gifts of astrology is tapping into that power. And astrology is really a long-term studying endeavor. I've been studying it for decades. Other astrologers I know have been studying it for decades. So please know that you're not meant to understand it all right away. You could feel like I want to understand my whole chart right away. There's layers and layers of it that keep it quite fascinating and interesting too. So I hope that you feel inspired to learn more about your energy through astrology. I do offer the introductory astrology course that gives you insights into how to read your own chart, how to understand your own energy. And then I also offer you, I have another course that's the weekly Universal Spiritual Laws course that has been quite popular too, because it takes you week by week through 12 universal laws, and you're not supposed to go fast. Think about everything we do in our lives. Like, we're consuming information, we're looking at our phones. We go fast, right? We're now at that place of, I want more, I want more. This work takes time. It takes presence. It takes awareness. It's not meant to be fast, because you're meant to move it from your short-term memory to your long-term memory. And you do that over time through repetition, through awareness, and through practice. So that's really important when you are literally applying the spiritual principles to your life. It as much as you want to hit the gas pedal and go as fast as you can, it does take time to integrate, to sit with things, to marinate, right? So I just want to validate that, because I know that you can put pressure on yourself, like, I'm supposed to know all this now. No, you know it at your own pace, and you continually practice it, and then it becomes more of how you operate and how you move in the world. So we are closing out September with the Sun now in Libra. And Libra is how you share your energy. That's what it basically comes down to. Aries through Virgo is knowing yourself and getting a feel of who you are. It's the personal development signs. Then we move into Libra, which is where everything you learned about yourself in this current cycle spiral up. I see every astrological cycle as a spiral up. And so you've learned more in the past 6 months since the latest cycle began in March about who you are, what you need, what you value, what's important to you, your emotional process, your creative development, and how you want to spend your days. Now with Libra, we take our energy and we share it with other people. And that shows up as who you hang out with, your social life, your friends and your colleagues, your one-on-one relationships with people, and that can be clients, that can be a partnership or somebody you're dating. So the Libra energy is that threshold where you have now moved through the first half of a cycle, and now you take the energy out and you're like, okay, who can I interact with? And how do I interact with people in a way that honors who I am and who they are? So we mingle and we date in Libra, and we start to see, well, who else is out here? Who do I have in common with? Who can I have a good conversation with? And in Libra, we also step into what we would consider social norms, which is how to treat each other in a way that's civil, that's fair, that's kind, how we interact with each other in a way that's not trying to be offensive. The other day, I took my son to the doctor, and it's a new doctor, a new pediatrician. I hadn't been to the office before. We were leaving, and there's the desk that says checkout. And there's a woman sitting at the desk, so I go up to her and I say, okay, we're all done. We're done with our appointment. Is there anything that I need to do before we check out? And she goes, huh? And makes this face like I was speaking craziness to her. And so I thought maybe she didn't hear me or that she had earphones in or headphones, right? I thought, well, maybe she doesn't hear me. So I repeated what I said. And, she got all annoyed at me. And she's like, well, no, you don't have to do anything. You just have to leave. And she just has a little fit. And I thought, maybe the sign shouldn't say checkout. The sign above her desk should say Mayor of Cranky Town. The mayor of Cranky Town sits here and doesn't know how to interact with people and needs to go to Libra school. So in Libra, you come across people who haven't been to Libra school, and they don't know how to have a simple dialogue. Libra school is basically customer service. It is basic conversation. It's simply interacting with people in a kind way. If someone had been to Libra school and they were at the checkout desk, they would say, you're all set. Thank you so much for coming in. We'll see you in a year. Do you want a sticker? And I would say, of course I want a sticker, and so does my son. We'll take 2 stickers, please. And then we get our stickers and we go on our way. When we're in the Libra energy, it can almost feel like you see who is able to just be polite and kind and interact on all levels, right? Like it's with strangers, but it's also with your friends, the people that you want to spend time with. And then you come across mayors and the residents of Cranky Town, and those are the people that you then practice Libra qualities of being objective. Now, the Mercury is also in Libra, so that adds the objective energies to how we process information. Mercury is how we take in information, how we sit with it, how we think, and then what we say in return. And so both the Sun and Mercury in Libra understand that, oh, wow, she's probably having a hard day, or she must be going through something, or maybe she needs to eat some food and she's hangry and she doesn't know it. The Libra energy brings the objective understanding of something else that maybe you don't know, that you're not aware of. And it's practicing it's not personal, something we've all heard, and it's something that Libra is really good at. In this, well, she's just having a bad day, or, that's nothing about you, which I never knew. I never thought it was, but I just thought it was a great example of how we have to practice the Libra-ness, and we can forget that at times. We can forget to be objective. We think we have all the information, but you don't. And so when you are interacting with people, you go to your child's school and you talk to their teacher, or you're out in the world and you're talking to someone at the grocery store. However you're interacting, you don't always have the full information. And so the Libra energy helps you to interact with people without feeling like you have to go into their full story. You don't have to go into their story. You just have to show up in your loveliness and your energy and be conscious of how you want to share your energy. And that's what we're in right now with the Sun in Libra and Mercury in Libra. Now, what's interesting, and you're probably feeling this, is that Libra is ruled by Venus. Venus is in Scorpio. Scorpio always has undercurrents to the energy. Scorpio is where there is an emotional charge to something. It's what you don't say in public, but you feel. So you're talking to somebody, and they're saying the right words. So you're like, how are you today? And they say, I'm good. How are you? And you say, I'm fine, thank you. But you know underneath it all, maybe they're mad about something. They were just stuck in traffic. They're stressed out. What they don't say that's under the surface is the Scorpio energy, the emotional processing. That's the parts of ourselves that, we're dealing with something privately. Scorpio is private. Scorpio has secrets. Scorpio maybe doesn't want you to know everything that they're feeling, but you sense it, especially as you become more intuitive, or perhaps you're an empath, and you just pick up on that message. And you know that, okay, something's going on underneath the surface, and they don't want to talk about it, and that's fine. So we have this interesting energy right now where the Libra qualities are strong, but Venus and Jupiter are in Scorpio. We're all feeling stuff under the surface. We're all moving through something deeper. And depending on how you move through those Scorpio undercurrents will determine how you share your energy and how you interact with people. We have to stay conscious, or rather it's a choice to stay conscious of what you need to say and what you don't say, and who you share your truth with, which is healthy Scorpio, and who you don't. So right now, we're really meant to stay aware of ourselves, of our energy, and who we interact with. Now, relationships are always interesting, and there's so many layers to them. And so you look at what are the relationships that are in balance for me. Think of it as the volleyball, where you hit the volleyball over the net, and then someone else, they lob it back. And it keeps the game going. It's even, right? There's an exchange. Well, there's some people that you could realize, I'm always the one tossing the volleyball, or I'm always the one, and they don't really give any effort hitting it back. It's something to be aware of, because in order to feel that you're in a true relationship that connects to who you are and what you need, there has to be that equal giving and receiving. And somewhere along the line, somebody said that relationships are 50-50. Now, I don't know who that person is, but that person had really low standards, because relationships are not 50-50. They're 100-100. And the right people, you show up and you're 100, right? You're like, this is me. This is who I am. I want to be a part of this connection. I want to contribute to this relationship. I want to be present in it. And that's what you want in return. And so the 50-50, well, who wants that? That means basically someone who's 1 foot in and 1 foot out. No, thank you. You want 100-100. So part of what we see during Libra is, well, who am I showing up for as myself? And here's where I have to do some foreshadowing with you based on the astrology. October has a lot of choppy and uncomfortable relationship energies. And it's not just one thing, it's multiple areas. And what it means is that we are recognizing how we're different now based on what you've learned, what you've healed, what you've understood about yourself, the choices you've made, what you need. And this is part of the ascension experience. This is part of spiritual growth, is that people change. You have changed. You are different, and it changes the kinds of people you relate to. One of the observations I have, and there's probably science to back it up, or data out there, is that we form relationships differently with the internet because we're not in person. And you're online or you're maybe texting, you're not in someone's physical presence sharing energy with them. So we have different kinds of relationships that we formed based on the internet and technology, and that's shifted how we show up in relationships. For example, if you live with somebody, whether it's through a marriage or you have a roommate or you have kids, whatever it is, you would share your energy differently than somebody that you only know online, right? And so we have perhaps more relationships or more connections through the internet and through technology, but they're certainly not the same as in-person physical relationships where you meet people and you're in their energy. And so part of what's really been changing, and this pertains to Venus in Scorpio going retrograde, are female friendships, especially because women, and I'm going to generalize here just for ease of conversation, are social, right? We socialize earlier. It's how we interact, how we communicate. The feminine energy is geared to community, collaboration, interactions, and relationships. And so typically women have figured out where they belong based on friendships and based on female relationships. Off the top of my head, I know that 7 female friends of mine who have gone through really big female changes, friendship changes in the past number of years, let's say 3 years, and it's been so hard. Because for a romantic relationship, you might expect there to be a breakup. For a female relationship, you often don't. And you think, this is a long-term friend, or so-and-so was at my wedding, and so-and-so was there when I had my first child, or we've known each other since elementary school. You have all these things that connect to your heart, the connections, the feelings, the memories, what you've shared, the secrets. And the Venus retrograde in Scorpio is where we deeply review who we are now, what friendship means now, what relationships mean now, what you need that you didn't realize you needed before. And it also relates to your own spiritual growth and your spiritual path, which is how you've had to disconnect from some people who don't get you, who think, they don't understand what you're interested in. Personally, there were, for me, probably about 6 or 7 years ago, I had some friends who totally belittled astrology and made fun of me, and I just decided I can't have that. I'm not going to be disrespected. I'm not going to put up with this. And if we're not meant to continue on together, then that's what it is, because you can't hold back who you are for other people. You cannot. You will start to feel that growing discomfort. And this is coming up big right now because of the Libra and Scorpio energies, which is how we share ourselves, and then how we share our energy. And it's personal, and it's emotional, and it's parts of you that you could even have to get stronger in. And so I had these friendships end, and it was really, really hard. And it's okay if something's really hard and really emotional and just hurts. You're going to get through it. You're going to be on the other side of it. And as I mentioned, off the top of my head, I know 7 people, all women, who have been moving through this kind of experience, and they feel like they can't talk about it. They don't want to put it on social media. They feel it's kind of shrouded in secrecy. It's interesting. It's a whole different energy. It's part of what we're moving through right now. and you cannot hold back who you are, and you cannot hold back how far you've come. And I think that part of why it's scary for the feminine is because then you have to activate more of your masculine, which is, okay, I can do this on my own, and that independence and that sense of strength in yourself that isn't as emotional, and I know I'm generalizing, but that's just to explain it better. It's to understand that you must voyage forth with the people who are at your same frequency, understanding, and if you don't know who that is yet, don't be afraid to be alone. It's like you can't, the word's escaping me. Dilute. You can't dilute yourself, your energy. You're going to meet more people. You're going to meet the right people. You're going to meet the better connections for you. And this is something that comes up throughout October because we're already in it and you've been moving through it, but something also feels like a turning point in the power of it. The turning point, because the other thing with Libra doesn't make a decision. It's like, I think about its pros and cons, and what about this, and what about this. And Libra can be paralysis, analysis, and you just don't make a decision. But the Scorpio energy of Venus in Scorpio retrograde and Jupiter in Scorpio says, I have to follow where I feel powerful. I have to follow my truth. I have to also face any fears that come up or get triggered. And so throughout October, we're going to have these different energies of the pushing you, and it can feel like the pressure to follow what you need regardless of other people and their choices. Specifically, it is the new moon on October 8th, where the sun and the moon in Libra are squaring Pluto. And then there's also the Taurus full moon that really reveals what you need and what you have to do. I've uploaded both of those videos to my YouTube channel. It talks about those energies of the upcoming October new moon and full moon if you want more insights. There's also the video on Venus retrograde and how it's relationship changes are happening, and that isn't something you put out there on social media. Like, you might not say if you're getting a divorce, right? Or you might not talk about a breakup. That isn't the social media environment. And yet I think that that's where people can think they're alone. But you're not alone, and it's part of how we're meant to keep following our own energies, and that we're living in a time right now that's vastly different from 10 years ago and 20 years ago. We're moving through really intense energies that are all about your personal ascension and evolution at a much faster rate and a much deeper. Like, I'm getting the image of the energies, what are they, stalactites? Stalactites that hang at the top of a cave. And it's like that energy that just, it's so deep that you work on it personally and intensely, but it creates a whole new sense of strength and power. And part of the energies that we're going to feel shifting as we go into November is when Jupiter then moves into Sagittarius, and that is a returning up. It's like a lifting up back to the light, to the inspiration, to the belief in yourself. I just did a show for you on Monday, September 24th, on the Jupiter and Sagittarius energies and what that means. And one thing to keep an eye on is the energy is really about how you're ready to believe again, where you probably lost faith or lost hope or doubted. It's a believing in yourself, and I feel it as a rising energy of where you thought the fire went out, the possibilities, and it's rising up in this new belief in yourself. It does depend on how you work with the Sagittarius energy, of course, but Jupiter is at home in Sag, and is ready to go big and to bring back the light and to bring back the warmth. It's very uplifting. So that happens November 9th is when Jupiter goes into Sagittarius. So we're moving through some shifts here, and it's in relationships. Now, Pluto stations direct on September 30th, and this is at 18 degrees of Capricorn, where he's been hanging out and going slow for a little bit. So if you have any planets or points at 18 degrees, Pluto's been applying the pressure. And so Pluto stations direct. It could be October 1st, depending on your time zone and location. Stations direct September 30th or October 1st, and then moves forward and is still at 18 degrees throughout October. And then in November gets to 19 degrees. And Pluto then moves forward into new territory into 2019. And Pluto then goes to 23 degrees until April of 2019. So this is a big deal, that Pluto is going to station direct in Capricorn and ask you to summon up, like summon forth, what you have restructured internally around your own responsibilities, commitments, where you've been disciplined, and what you're building. Just to name a few themes here, it's a strengthening energy, and it's meant to feel that way. It's meant to feel like, okay, I'm stronger in what I want and where I'm going. In Capricorn, it's meant to bring about clarity around how you are stepping into your professional world, your mission work, your soul work, your mastery. And the energy goes forward to 23 degrees. Now, that's pretty fast for Pluto. Pluto's a slow-moving planet. And for it to move 5 degrees in 6 months means that there's something about going for it. It's like a passion. It's a drive. It's a, this is what I want and this is what I'm going for. It has a lot of strength to it. Then Pluto in 2019 will retrograde back to 20 degrees. So he's leaving this second decan. And the second decan is between 10 degrees and 19 degrees. So from now until the middle of December, Pluto's moving for 18 degrees and 19 degrees, and then he enters the third decan of 20 degrees, and that's where he spends his remaining time in Capricorn. So he's leaving this part of your chart for good. Something changed, shifted, and transformed permanently if Pluto was working with you personally. And it's moving forward into 20 degrees. And it's quite interesting because in the next decan, which is 20 degrees to 29 degrees, there's a seriousness to it because there's more work to be done. Things have to be accomplished and set right and made permanent before, in the best and highest way, and then Pluto will move into Aquarius later down the line. I won't get into that yet. But I wanted to give you an idea of why this is important. It's that sense of really getting committed and serious about profession, career, work, what you're building, how you're contributing, what you're how you're recognized, and how your mastery is forming. And this is also part of how people, my energy just sank. It's also the downfall of those who have not been in integrity and have not been respecting other people's power. Pluto is where when you are in your true power, you respect other people's power. You're not looking to be dominant or controlling or powerful over another. But when that happens, when you are powerful over another, that's where the bullying comes up, right? That's where the abuser energies have been coming forth. And this transit has been especially strong for Bill Cosby. And I remember years ago, what was that, 2 years ago or so, when it first came out about the first accusations, it was so hard to believe because you hold someone to believe who they are publicly, which is Capricorn. And you look at who they are, what they've accomplished, who they've been in the world. I mean, Bill Cosby, I grew up in the 80s, and it was Thursday nights at 8 o'clock, The Cosby Show, followed by A Different World, followed by Cheers. And that was the Thursday night lineup. I don't remember what was after Cheers because that was past my bedtime. But we all knew Bill Cosby, and he was such a significant person in entertainment. I mean, The Cosby Show alone was huge. To see an upper middle class African-American family, successful, rich, educated, all this was so important in the American psyche. And then what was happening behind the scenes, right, and how that's all come down. Well, this Pluto transit has been really strong for Bill Cosby, obviously. He was just sentenced to prison. And that's also the Pluto energy of how our consequences come around. The karma comes around. Like Pluto says, you can't get away with this. So as you are venturing forth in your path and staying in your power, you're staying in the integrity of your choices, the responsibility of it, the sense that truly you don't need others to recognize you when you recognize yourself. If other people recognize you, that's icing on the cake, but it's this strong sense of this is who I am and this is how I show up in the world, and I do so honoring other people to do the same. So this Pluto and Capricorn energy is what's shifting patriarchal institutions and structures and revealing where there have not been responsible uses of power. This is going to continue. This is going to continue into the next decade. So this is not over. There's more that's going to be coming up. And Saturn in Capricorn is also coming through here. And the Saturn in Capricorn is saying the consequences in the real world are here. And that's also, the Capricorn energy also rewards you. It acknowledges where you've made an accomplishment, where you've put in the time and effort. So it's not like there's one, it's only bad. I mean, that's not the interpretation of astrology that I use at all. It's understanding that it's how you have used your energy that comes back to take you to that next level or to help you see where you can make new choices or what needs to shift going forward. So it's now that Pluto is about to station direct, the energy is stronger. And that's because it's going slower. And it feels like completion energies here because, again, Pluto's not going to be back at 18 or 19 degrees again for, a few hundred years. So it is a finishing up of something that needs to be completed at a soul level. Pluto is for your evolutionary growth. It's how you are really stepping into more untapped power and inviting you to claim that power and those parts of yourself. Now, as I mentioned at the start of the show, Chiron is just back in Pisces, in retrograde in Pisces at 29 degrees. Chiron is going to go back to 27 degrees of Pisces until December 9th. And then it will station direct December 9th at 27 degrees and go forward in Pisces and then it will re-enter Aries in February. So from late September to middle of February, Chiron is back in Pisces, and this is a finishing up degree. This is clearing out what was unfinished for you emotionally, spiritually. It's looking at where another layer might come forth. And I did a separate show for you on the Chiron transit between Pisces and Aries, where it talks about what that changeover is. So if you are having a significant Chiron transit, you might want to listen to that show, because it is it's like you're going back in. Okay, have you ever moved house and you have the new house and you're like, okay, I've got most of my stuff moved over to the new place. I just have to go back to the old place and finish cleaning it up. Maybe there's a few boxes, there's stuff in the garage, you have to sweep, you have to clean the windows, or there's just the little remnants of cleaning that you have to do. That's this energy of Chiron in Pisces, and it's much more at the emotional, energetic level of where you've perhaps been holding on to grief, loss, disappointment, anything that wasn't finalized or completed in the way that you had hoped is what you are energetically cleaning out and finishing up. And so there can be sorrow or heartache and fears. These are the lower Pisces energies. But ultimately, these next few months of Chiron in Pisces is meant to bring you to a new place of forgiveness, acceptance, compassion for yourself. You did the best you could. You tried your hardest. And it's also applying that to other people. And so I typically recommend the Ho'oponopono prayer to allow people to allow yourself to be in acceptance, to allow yourself to just be in that place of, it is what it is, and I'm going to keep going with it. Because the Ho'oponopono prayer is about forgiveness, reconciliation. It's about saying, okay, I accept what was. I accept what transpired, and I accept myself for how I showed up. I accept that this played out one way, but energy is always moving and changing and shifting. So can I allow it to just be? Can I allow it to be done? And it's a completion energy. It really is. So the Ho'oponopono prayer is just 4 simple lines, and you'll see it written in different orders depending on the source, but it's basically, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And there's different orders that some people say these 4 lines in, but it's so powerful. I mean, you think about how simple it is. It's quite simplistic, and yet it gets to the heart of the energy and what needs to shift. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And it's meant to end in a healing way of acceptance and compassion and forgiveness. So as we experience Chiron and Pisces over the next number of months, please know that you are completing something deep within yourself at a soul level. It's private. You don't need to share it with people. It's that private thing you've been moving through or holding close to your heart. And you have support for just finishing up and clearing out these energies or this part of your life where you probably felt powerless. You felt powerless and you didn't know what to do, but your power travels with you. It doesn't go out to other people unless you allow it. So you call it back to yourself and you claim it, and you understand how that is how it sets you free, and it sets you free for the next adventure and the next new start, which is Aries. So I hope that's given you some insight into the energies of right now. I also hope that this free book supports you with this process of whatever you might be moving through, especially with relationships or friendships, with anything that you've ended or completed. And just know that you are supported beyond what you can see, and that I appreciate you connecting to me through this show, and to know that you're not alone. We're all in this together. We're all rocking the journey together. So I'll be back on Monday with another episode for you where we'll talk about more of these energies. And in the meantime, I hope you enjoy a beautiful week ahead, that you see the good things in your life, you find ways to be grateful for what you have, for who you are, for how far you've come, and to remember to give yourself that love and recognition as you go. Thank you for joining me, friends. I'll see you back here soon, and many blessings. Take good care. Bye-bye.
It's maybe the night that my dreams might let me know. All the stars are closer. All the stars are closer.
Tell me what you gonna do to me. Confrontation ain't nothing new to me. You could bring a bullet, bring a sword, bring a morgue, but you can't bring the truth to me.
Alexa, play Kendrick Lamar and SZA.
Okay.
Maybe the night that my dreams might let me know. All the stars are closer.
With Amazon Music, a voice is all you need. Get tens of millions of songs. Download the Amazon Music app today.